I want you to share a memorable story of a young entrepreneur that had a unique perspective that led to an innovative solution and how you guided them through this journey.
Thank you so much, Edwin. When it comes to, first of all, just to give a little background of myself, and I always tell people, given the mic, everyone has a story to tell. I was brought up in Garissa. My mom was Mama Mboga, and at the time, there were no technologies, nothing, but whatever she was doing in terms of how she was managing her time, ensuring we're in school, and something like I have come to appreciate now that every time we close school, we will go back home, help my grandmother in herding the cattle and all that. So at a young age is when I realized it doesn't matter how big or small entrepreneurship is. If you put your mind into something, then you can get the best out of it at that specific time. Now, as I have transitioned and I have grown and I found myself in the career of HR, I was lucky to have worked with international NGOs as my first start in my career when I became a HR officer. And that is when I have gone into mentorship. And Edwin, I have worked for organizations and I worked in countries whereby I supported and I was part of a team which transformed guards to become now successful surgeons running their own private clinics in Somalia, Yemen, South Sudan. And my mentorship, I may not have had the skills, but at the time I have listened and I made sure we curated a program that supports their dreams. Because at the time, like for example, when I worked in one of the war-torn countries, we may not have experts accessing that specific country all the time. But I could see people who finished high school and just when they were about to join and start their college or universities, the war broke. And they have the skill, they have the passion. And one incident that I've witnessed, sometimes someone is shot and they will try and do the traditional healing. And I asked them why they will do that. So they told me, Quresha, we have three options. Which watch this person bleed to death, or do the traditional healing of like literally doing a surgery using traditional method as the person wheezes in a lot of pain and save their life, or they die in our hands while trying. So now, when someone already
Sorry, Quresha, are you there?
I
Okay,
sorry, sorry,
you're back.
sorry,
You're back. Please
giving me
continue.
some points. I am. So now, what I'm trying to say is that in my career, as I was starting off, I always had because of how I was brought up, I always made sure I created opportunities for those who I work with, even though the setup at the time, people always misunderstand entrepreneurship. It's all about uh, creating jobs for myself or becoming an entrepreneur or a business owner, all that. It can actually, entrepreneurship can even exist in government. Entrepreneurship can even exist within employment setup. So as I walked the journey and now I transitioned to become the executive director of the Institute of Human Resource Management, once again, I have met HR professionals who say, I know how to develop policies, I can do recruitment and all that, and I don't have the resources. And when you're coaching and when you're mentoring is different. The mentoring now, you walk the journey with them and you tell them what to do. This is what you need to do. This is where you need to start off. And I have been privileged enough. I may not have enough terms like you in your passport, but at least 8 countries. And I have seen one of the projects you sometimes you find yourself is someone reaching out from Tanzania, Uganda, that they have something to offer. How how can you support us through the institute? And I have always made myself available, access my network. I'm sure that is where you'll find your clientele. And I will also tell them what is it that they need to succeed in that specific story. Now, if I narrow it down from now in my international experience and now at the HR, I have worked with right now successful entrepreneurs within the HR field who own their own HR firms, who are running, because COVID has made everyone, like, let me say, it has equalized all of us, that we've realized there were opportunities we thought it's never possible that it's possible. I know someone who runs a farm in Turkana and has clientele here in Nairobi. That those are things which were unheard of, and now it's possible because of technology. And now, there's so many. But I will always tell them, look, just see what is the data you're processing. It's not that expensive. Sometimes you can go to cohorts. It cost you 1,000, but look at the ripple effect. What is the return you're getting? And I have made it, how the unemployment rate, it's not just something unique to Kenya. It's global and it's an African problem. Now, when we have the free trade area like AFTA, which is one of the biggest in global, so you see, you try and educate. I tell even the HR professionals, don't limit yourself. If it's Ghana that you have to go and create that opportunity, please feel free. If it's crossing to just here Uganda and coming back in the evening, please feel free. All you need to do is, do you have your idea? Have you put your mind into it? Have you drawn it? And unless you've reached a point where by now you need to find people who want to invest in it or funders, I always encourage and I tell people, start small, yeah? It starts small. And start small means in that space you are in right now, make the impact. And believe me, when you look back later, both as a mentor myself and even for those who I have mentored into business, they come back and say, can I buy you lunch? And most of them, especially within the HR fraternity, I've met them just 3 years and they're very successful, very successful. So that is who I am, and that is what I encourage. And my call to everyone is, we may not all be employed, but what is it that we can do to create that employment space for ourselves? What is it, that idea that I'm sitting with, that I can come with Quresha and say, Quresha, I have this idea. Can you introduce me to so and so? And I want to just target 20 people, then the next day. And some of them right now, they don't even have I have to book to see them. And that is where my pleasure is. And it's not just about them, they have created opportunities for others. Because once you are a successful SME owner, then you become, you get to employ others, whether it's one person, two-person, and then look at the whole supply chain. People always look at that one person who has created that opportunity. But remember, you're going to rent, you will have to get a service provider in terms of whether internet, you're on the road, you will buy fuel from somewhere, you will be able to put food on the table. So it's a whole supply chain that we are creating. And that is what I try to make people see all the time. We should not just be focused on what is the problem. And remember, when we know there is a problem, we already know the solution. So let us be the solution providers. Let us make sure that everybody can see and have access to these opportunities. Let's continue volunteering, and this is a very good platform. So, Edwin, I will say from where I sit as a HR professional who have invested in her skills, I may not be an entrepreneur myself, but I have that mindset and I am always ready to guide. Thank you.